Hi everybody, welcome to Beyond the Lines. It's time to color. My name is Sarah, I'm the artist bei Pinselgeschichten, and today I'm going to finish the Tartan, the Fraser Tartan page from the Outlander coloring book by using Faber-Castell polychromos and adding quite a bit of detail on this particular page here. If you want to know all the numbers of the pencils that I used last week and this week, hop on over to my blog. The link is in the description box below. You can find the new blog post from today. If you're watching this video way later, once it's published, hop on over to either my webpage and search for the name of this coloring page. So the video name is also the blog post name. Or hop on over to my Facebook page if you want to follow me there. I always have the direct link posts with the photos on my page there. So you either just have to look at the photo albums or scroll a bit, depending on when after this video is released you're seeing this video and want to know the numbers. I hope you enjoy watching along, and maybe I give you a piece of information that is helpful to you while you draw, paint, color, whatever it is that you do with colors there. So let's get back to this painting. Let's finish it. I pulled the same polychromo colors that I had used with the Albrecht Dürer watercolor pencils from Faber-Castell last week. So these are the exact same numbers. Now I'm going to go on and intensify / have lighting or bounce of lights added. I'm going to start with the candle. Let's see, to sharpen some of the pencils, but not very many. Okay, so these three, these were exactly the same numbers that I had also used on the watercolor base coat. In this case here, I'm not gonna have a bounce because, well, this is a flame and it will bounce onto for example, the rim here and also part of the brooch, but this here is just intensifying color. So having a bit more definition on things that I had laid down before with the watercolor, just to have parts intense and others be rather, well, not as intense there. Great English, don't you think? Yeah. I can actually put the blue away, and I can already, maybe not the yellow, but can put the blue to the side. I'm not gonna need that anymore. But now I can go on to the to intensifying the candle, and there I had used the cream and a warm gray. This is the warm gray, but this one has to be sharpened as well. And there again, I'm just going to intensify stuff. So having parts be a bit more yellowish, like these drops here of the candle. And then I'm going to add the dark gray, which then goes for the shadows. So here it's pooling, for example. It's the liquid part, but it's also a bit of a shadow from the string. I still don't know what it's called. In German, it's called Docht. I might just have edited on the lower screen. Have a translation there, but I don't know if I know that word per se. whatever. I'm just adding a bit of the colored pencil and the cream color here and there. I don't want to cover up the whole base coat, but just intensify colors. And now I'm gonna have a slight shadow underneath some of the parts where there's an overhang of the wax pretty much. And I'm using the warm gray for that. Also very, very light touch, small circles or ovals, small or big, depending on how much surface you have to color with or cover with that color. But I'm only going in the lines if I need to stay within a certain area here. Otherwise, I would go with circles. Just makes it softer and doesn't leave those pencil lines, you know, that you're probably very familiar with. Bring a bit more shadow on the lower part of the candle, because this is in the candle holder, so the candle holder itself makes a shadow there. Also, the wax drops make for a shadow. And since, again, from last week I said that one light source is the candle, but there's also another light source coming from the right. So I'm shading towards the left. Very subtly, but it's a shadow because, well, some light is hitting it from this side. I think it's a fireplace or something. Maybe not natural daylight per se, but some other light source. So I'm shading it like that. See, okay, I think that's not too shabby. Maybe tiny bit behind that rim. All right. All right, there's the candle. Don't need these two tones anymore, the warm gray and the cream. Now I need the cold grays and the sepia and the silver for the rim. Also, I need the yellow and maybe a tiny bit of the orange, or it's actually dark chrome yellow, for the bouncing of light, meaning the candle light there. But I'm first starting on this side. Again, I'm left-handed, so I'm always starting on the right and pulling color to the left so that I don't smudge anything. I'm starting off with the light cold gray. So this rim here is of course also colored or hid by whatever second light source, so it's gonna get a silvery look here because we have the light bouncing off, and this makes the metal shiny. I don't know if you can see the difference on camera, but I can definitely see it here. See when I move it, you can see the silver Now I need to knock it back a tiny bit with the sepia. Again, this is maybe not the newest candle holder, so it gets a bit of a sepia tone here and there because it's older and it's not polished. It might, well, it's aged, you know, and it might not have aged super well. So now here's the darks. And I'm gonna blend that out to the lighter gray. And tiny little bit of silver in this pattern here. But there's also gonna be a bit yellow because, well, the candle does not only bounce off to the left but also to the right. Adding a bit of orange, otherwise it might be a bit too bright. And too citrony almost. So let's have that, and whoopsie daisy. Have a bit of sepia on the lower part just to, well, knock back the too much of a shine look there. It's still a bit of an older candle holder. Putting everything together. There we go. That's the rim on the left. Now I have to complete all of that. Not with the silver anymore because, well, that light source is not necessarily hitting that part, but I have to add a bit of the darker grays here. Not part of the rim, definitely more on this part of that rim here. And also in the deeper parts here, where for one, the depth of the candle holder makes it dark, and also the candle itself being a shadow. Adding a bit of the sepia because, again, making this candle holder look a bit older and, well, I don't want to say rusty, but well used. And now adding a bit of the yellow here and also here. Same goes for the dark yellow. And there the light bounces off the metal. The one from the firelight as well as one from the candle. I'm gonna knock it back a bit with the sepia. It cannot be as bright. Same here. Gonna darken this up as well. Doing the same here. And I might even add a tiny bit of the black just to darken it even more. See? This is how I go about that. Now, I can color this part of the candle holder, which is maybe hit a tiny bit by the firelight, but not really. So I'm not gonna add any silver. Gonna add it here, but maybe just a tiny bit maybe here. Just a little. See? Just a tiny little bit down here. That's enough. And darks from the other side, because again, light comes from the right hand side, so the left is way darker. Also, there's no light coming from the top from the candle now. So this has to be way darker than the rim. Bringing everything together in the middle with a light cold gray. And then again adding a tiny bit of the sepia to make things have a vintage tint. Now the part where the body connects to the stand or the foot. By the way, I need maybe a tiny bit of the black here, just on the outline, little bit. By the way, I'm squinting or crossing my eyes for a second there to see if I need to add more shadow or something, more darker values to something. If I'm not 100% sure, or just to check, once you're unfocused with your eyes, you do see light and dark better. So squinting or crossing your eyes is actually pretty helpful to check out if you have the right values. Now for the foot here, I'm going exactly the same way as I did before. Dark gray, light gray. A hint of shimmer on this part of the rim, just really not a lot. Just a tiny bit where the light bounces off. Ooh. Adding a bit of the sepia. And then a bit of black. So now the candle holder is almost complete. I just need to have the rim. Now light comes from here, so it would actually hit quite a bit on the rim here. Make the light bounce. But I'm of course also gonna add the other colors, so the dark gray, the light gray, just to have everything look cohesive.
There's just a very light shadow underneath this part where the rim makes a shadow, or the holder part with the overhanging rim, but it's by far not as prominent as the shadow is gonna be on this side here. So I'm being very light with my dark gray. Very, very light. And then use the light gray to pull everything together. The rim gets the dark gray. Of course, I'm gonna have way darker shadow here. But also the candle makes for a shadow. Gonna have that quite prominent there. And again, I'm going in circles so that you don't really see the pencil lines. Gonna add the light gray. And the sepia. And a little bit of black. Now blending everything with the light gray. Okay, this is the candle holder done. I'm going to do the same thing to the brooch, intensifying colors there and having parts bounce off. But for this brooch, because it's so intricate with the pattern and all, I'm gonna add the dark grays, so the what I think is hammered into or is like a deeper valley in the brooch. Just gonna have them a solid dark gray. So for example, that pattern here in the middle. Think those are pieces that are hammered into the metal. So they are like valleys. Okay, the same goes here for the shadows, so I think this is darker. Also, well, let's go for the real shading. Ah, forgot. Again, I have to put the red in between here. It has to be a little bit of this red and a bit of this dark brownish red here. Okay, just to not forget it. But for now, let's shade the stags. So let's see, this is going to be really dark. Same goes here. There won't be any light bouncing off. We will have light bouncing off here, meaning the stag shades that obelisk shape there. This part here is shaded by this part, so there's no light coming off. A bit of a light coming here. Still needs a light shadow. Very light touch. Let's see, this is the stack, which I think goes like this. So there's a slight shadow, but ever so lightly. And we have a shadow here from the candle holder. So also this pattern's very light shadow. I'm not gonna fill it completely like I did here because I think these valleys here are maybe a bit flatter. They're not as deeply hammered into the metal as they are in the obelisk part. So I'm just a bit lighter with my application of pigment. Also, I'm not filling the whole shape, just hinting at a shadow there. Of course, coming to the shadow side, the left, I'm getting a bit more heavy on my hand, applying this Payne's gray here, because well, in the shadow, the darks seem darker, so I can apply a bit more pigment there. Have it look like, oh, there's no light bouncing off this side. So this stack here, of course, is also in shadow behind, for one, the candle, and also this obelisk shape. So there's not a lot of detail there that we get. At least not on the parts closest to the midsection here of this brooch. Here, there, of course, there's a bit lighter parts, but still it takes quite a while until the light hits it again. There's darks. There is real darks. I'm still pulling the dark gray quite a bit into it. So, need a bit more dark here. Now I need to shade that lower part here, again from the left hand side, because the light hits from the right. And I'm going in very long ovals so that this layer of shading here is very, very smooth. So, all right, this is basic shading. Gonna add a bit of light gray in the stack. Just to have them a bit more prominent. Also here. And on this stack here. So on the left hand side, just to have a mid-tone there between the very light gray and the dark grays, just a little bit. So here, just a little bit. And now I can add the bouncing off of light from the candle. It would bounce here, and to not have it too bright, I'm adding a bit of the dark chrome. And then I'm gonna knock it back with the light gray, just a bit, to have it not look too comic-y. Little bit of silver, just a touch. to look in the camera where it bounces. Yep. A little bit here. Yep. I think that's quite it. Yeah. So this is how light and shadow works for me, and maybe other people too, with metal and light bouncing off. Now, I can retire these two. I don't need them anymore. Don't need this, maybe need the silver here. Forget it, I'm not gonna retire those yet. But I don't need the sepia anymore, I think. Don't know. Maybe I do up here. So for now, I'm just going to add a little bit of shade or a stronger pigment of the golden green up here. Very light touch. Just adding the shadow from underneath the tartan. Not taking care of the pattern that is up here. That's just, I don't know, embroidered or something, or just a fabric pattern, but not gonna take care of that and shade that per se. Just gonna leave it as it is. Now I'm going to add a tiny bit of the sepia, just very, very little. Have it look even more ancient slash dirty. Or maybe just to have a stronger shadow here. And then I'm gonna blend that out with the golden green. And then add a tiny bit of the cream color, just to blend it out and have it look smooth. You could also use a blender pen if you have one. I don't have one, so I'm just using a very, very light color to do pretty much the same thing. Okay. Now comes the final part, the biggest part, tartan. So let's get started up here, where it's rather easy, and I'm just going to intensify parts of the pattern. Not going all over it, because I still want to have the watercolory look underneath, but there's some parts that I might want to have a bit darker than others, so I'm going to do that. I also have to add the shadow of everything around here and also underneath the oh, what's it called? Underneath the mistletoe. No, of course not. Underneath the brooch. But I'm going to add a few parts of pure color first, just to intensify a few parts of the tartan. I'm going to shade underneath the brooch with black right away and not bother having the red intensified first. Also, I don't care if I see my pencil lines here on the tartan, because, well, it's cloth, so it's woven and you can see the thread here and there, and I'm going to use that to my advantage and not having to blend everything to the nth degree, you know. I think I don't need the grays anymore. Maybe the silver, but not the grays per se. Also not the brown. The sepia, I mean, just the red. The reds, the black, and the silver. The same goes, by the way, for the shadow on top of the fabric, where you can still see parts of the fabric where it's not dark, 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 dark. I don't need to blend to the nth degree either, because, well, you can still see the texture of the cloth underneath. You just can't see the real color because it's shaded, because something is laying on top of it. See? This part here is the middle red. Just going to give it one layer, and then I'm gonna shade, because, well, the brooch is on top, so it makes for a shadow. So I'm just gonna add a tiny bit of sepia for the darkest shadows on the candle here, and then I'm already done. This would be the Fraser Tartan page of the Outlander coloring book. If that style would be too grainy for you and you think, it needs to be smoother, you could work with a bit of paint thinner on top if you liked. It would smooth things out. I actually like the grainy feel. For one, it says cloth to me for the tartan. And especially here on the lamp in the shadow where it's quite grainy, it says ancient, it says unpolished, whereas here it's rather polished and smooth. So I have a difference there between the candle, the candle holder and the brooch pretty much. So I actually like the grainy look of the candle holder. But yeah, I think, let me see, do I have enough? Squint, squint, squint. Tiny bit of a darker shadow here. Just a little bit. Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah, I don't think I need a super highlight for this. Maybe I do. I just saw something. I want a super highlight. And I want it on the flowers because I think this could be a pearl. Not a pearl, but a white yarn stitched in the flower buds. Gonna make it just like this. It's not gonna be super bright where the darks are, so I'm gonna dab a bit off and add a little bit of a shadow on top, like a little bit of black, but then it's a gray highlight there. See, it's not as bright as these, but yeah, it's not invisible either. So it's just a dark highlight. There we go. And that would finish my page in this book. I hope you enjoyed watching along. Maybe you got inspired to, if you have the same book, you could maybe try to color it the same way or to do it totally different. Maybe with the Fraser Tartan colors from the TV show. Maybe you don't have this book and just want to apply that idea of light bouncing off and also adding color, not just a highlight, to a metal piece or a reflective piece, and how shadow would work on pieces where the light doesn't bounce off, like cloth, for example. Light and shadow works different there than on metal. So maybe you want to try that out. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section below. Next week, it's time to get back to the colors. The next color I'm going to talk about is yellow. So it's got to be a couple of 4 to be exact, 4 yellow pages. And a tiny little 3-color challenge before I get back to the Outlander book. And next time, it's the dancers at Craig-y-na-Dun. Now, this is going to be an interesting one. But I'm not going to talk about that page yet. It's going to be later. I hope you enjoyed watching along. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. It would help a lot, and I would very much appreciate it. And hop on over to the blog. The link is in the description box below, or the direct link to the post is on my Facebook page in case you're interested and you want to know all the numbers and colors that I used to color this particular page. Have fun, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Go create something, color something, paint, draw,
Do all the good stuff. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye.